As we're at the start of a new decade, I've decided we should take a look at what got the most attention this past year in mainstream rock, and address the music more accordingly. Some great, some terrible. Here are the top 25 Billboard mainstream rock songs of 2019. This list was compiled by Billboard looking into mainstream rock songs that received the most airplay over several mediums in the past 12 months. The list actually covers the top 50 songs, but I'll be looking at the top 25 for brevity, and so I don't go insane. For better or worse, here's what blessed and or plagued radio rock in the most of 2019. I'll be blasting through this list, giving some facts on each song, and then giving my own personal opinion. After the list, I'll give my thoughts on Billboard and the current state of rock. Keep in mind, it's just my opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, that's fine. Feel free to leave comments on what your favorite song on the list is. No need to delay because we got a lot to cover, so here are the top 25 songs in mainstream rock of 2019. Buckle up. Coming off the 2018 album Anthem of the Peaceful Army is everyone's favorite Led Zeppelin comparison, Greta Van Fleet, and the song Lover Leaver. Greta Van Fleet had a world of success in a short amount of time, and a new album is being hinted at for 2020. This will undoubtedly lead to more touring and a boatload of more hype. I said in my album review a while back that this is the most Led Zeppelin-esque song by Greta Van Fleet. To be fair, they do it well. But also, to be fair, this is a Led Zeppelin B-side, so take that for what it's worth. Welcome Home was the first single from potentially the final Hell Yeah album at number 24. After Vinnie Paul's untimely passing, this song got a lot of attention as more of a tribute to being one of the last tracks Vinnie worked on. Hell Yeah toured through the second half of 2019, picking up Stone Sour's drummer Roy Mayorga for live performances. Welcome Home is okay. It's good for a Hell Yeah song, but in many respects, it's more of the same from Hell Yeah. And I see why it works for radio, though. It has good guitar riffs, and it is kind of nice to hear one of the final things Vinnie Paul was a part of have some success in the mainstream circuit. Another big song coming off Ghost's massively successful PREVAIL, Faith comes in at number 23. Ghost have been on a rampage since 2018 when this album came out, and PREVAIL has sprouted several singles to rank on this chart over the years. The band went on several headline tours over the past 2 years and will take some well-earned rest in 2020. This is the fourth or so single from PREVAIL on the year-end list, and mainstream rock charts are still significantly playing Ghost more and more. And this fourth single is still miles ahead better than most of the first singles from other albums featured on this list. And those songs are coming, don't you worry. Nu metal heroes Korn returned to the mainstream rock charts with You'll Never Find Me off of their latest album, The Nothing. After personal tragedies, Jonathan Davis returned in force and released arguably Korn's most heartbreaking album to date, while still keeping the level of quality that Korn has had in the past couple years. Korn toured heavily with Alice in Chains this past summer. This is a solid Korn song from a solid Korn album. It has a good rhythm and is exactly what Korn fans want. Keep in mind, though, it's another band on the Billboard chart for 2019 that's been around for 20 plus years. That's going to be a reoccurring feature on this list. Another entry from Greta Van Fleet at number 21 with You're the One. This is the drum circle flower power hippie fest side of Greta Van Fleet that is also featured on Anthems of the Peaceful Army. This song at least proves that Michigan band can do more than just one style. It'll be interesting to see what the next album will bring and if variety will come as well. You're the One is not terrible, but admittedly it's not really good either. It definitely feels like the radio filler for the stereotypical drive home. Doesn't show the band's talent. I don't hate it, but Off of Papa Roach's latest album, Who Do You Trust is Elevates at number 20. This track highlighted a different direction for the band in 2019. Papa Roach toured heavily in the US and Europe while supporting Shinedown and performing with other big names. The group will continue to tour in 2020 while promoting this latest album, Who Do You Trust? Elevate is one big pile of trash. I've said it before, it's like the worst parts of different styles and genres all smashed together and not seamless at all. A buffet of trying to chase what's popular and not hitting the mark once. But the band has name value and has been around for 20 years, so of course it's gonna get played by radio stations. Barf. Part of the classic rock revival, Rival Sons come in at number 19 for the year with Do Your Worst. California's Rival Sons are finally getting the attention they deserve with charting songs, successful touring, and several Grammy nominations stemming from this past year. 2020 will hopefully provide more success for the band and their throwback style of rock.
Do Your Worst is honestly one of the lesser impactful songs on Feral Roots, but it still is solid and definitely shows what Rival Sons can do. The band has plenty of talent bolstered by an amazing guitarist, and the song isn't from a post-grunge or nu metal band from the year 2000.
Canada's The Glorious Sons hit the mainstream rock chart again with Panic Attack at number 18. One of the two entries for the band on the year-end list stemming from the 2019's album A War on Everything, and proof that there are cases of bands that mainstream will play who are not established two-decade veterans. The Glorious Sons toured through 2019 and will continue in 2020.
I enjoy this song as Brett Emmons has a great delivery for The Glorious Sons and it always stands out in the music. Admittedly, it's more of the same for Billboard mainstream music. It's that radio format. A nice, safe choice. Speaking of nice, safe choices for radio,
the Black Keys return with a decent, if not carbon copy of everything they've done for the past 2 years with number 17's Low High. The album Let's Rock came out this past year, and the Black Keys have had an arena tour supporting the new release while staying true to their reverb vibe that they've had for over a decade. 2020 will feature more touring in support of this album.
when I say carbon copy, it really does feel like a carbon copy of many other songs by the Black Keys. So radio and alternative stations will drool over it. Of course, this made the list, as will future Black Keys songs, which sound just like it.
One of many ballads from Disturbed off their 2018 album Evolution is A Reason to Fight at number 16. Both the band's recent album and this song were a big divergence from 20 years ago in the days of the sickness. Disturbed ran multiple headline tours through the world and will continue touring through the US next year along with headlining several major festivals.
I don't mind A Reason to Fight at all, and I feel this is a direction that Disturbed has wanted to go for a while, but admittedly, it doesn't get me excited to listen again. Not to mention, it gets airplay because it was a Disturbed song. If it had been by another band, then this song would not have gotten a second look. It would have just gotten zero attention. But Disturbed gets attention no matter what they do. And we're not done with Disturbed yet.
At number 15, No More arrives as more of an anthem. This song was the second single from Disturbed's latest album and definitely has more energy than the previously mentioned track. No More also was a standard go-to song for many FM rock stations in the spring and summer of 2019. While the band's latest album was polarizing, No More still achieved success.
It's a very stock song about fighting back, and it works fine. I mean, it's good for radio, and Draymond sounds good here. But admittedly, it's under the same logic that if another band would have performed this song, it would have gotten zero attention. Also, this latest album from Disturbed, Evolution, it's had a lot of hits. This is by far the weakest album Disturbed has put out. I don't even hate it, but I can admit this is weak for Disturbed in the direction they're going. So, with all the success it's had though, get used to alt-rock Disturbed from now on.
Now at number 14 is the title track to Godsmack's 2018 album. Godsmack toured heavily with names like Hailstorm while also making several festival appearances through the world. The band is a staple of Billboard's mainstream rock scene and 2019 was no exception. Godsmack will continue touring in 2020 and have said that they will also be working on new music.
When Legends Rise is by far the best song off of said album, When Legends Rise, back from 2018. And that's saying something because the song is still pretty weak. I mean, it's okay to hear live, but that's about it. I was an apologist for Godsmack for years, but man, they are phoning it in at this point. Good lord.
Dirty Honey became the first unsigned band to ever hit number 1 on the mainstream rock chart with When I'm Gone coming in at number 13 for the year. This is another classic rock style band relying on swagger and guitar distortion. Dirty Honey toured through 2019 and will continue supporting their latest self-titled EP in the beginning of 2020.
I've seen Dirty Honey live twice now, and they do put on a good live show, and When I'm Gone is fine, but admittedly there are many other bands doing the classic throwback style much better in today's rock scene. However, I will give them some credit. They are the first unsigned band to go to number 1 for any week on Billboard's mainstream rock chart, so take that for what it's worth.
Grab some Monster Energy, but make it a low-cal one, as When the Seasons Change is a less angry ballad from the infamously angry Five Finger Death Punch at number 12. Five Finger have been definitely falling under scrutiny over the past few years in albums, including their most recent release, Injustice for None, for cashing in on cover songs and making the same style of song repeatedly. The band will release a new album, F8, or Fate, in February of 2020. No, I did not make that album title up.
Song sucks, everything sounds hacky and forced and miserable, and it's only one of two styles that Five Finger Death Punch does now: man baby screaming or complaining about how Ivan Moody hates everyone. Mainstream rock radio, though, loves both of those styles from this band, so they will never stop getting attention for it.
PREVAIL churned out many hits, and it was the single released in 2018 that continued to reign in 2019 on the charts. Dance Macabre definitely was different than other tracks on the scene, and while it did fuel the metal elitist anger of not being heavy enough, it did not stop the success of the song or Ghost in general, who rampaged through 2019.
I love this song. I've loved it since I first heard it in 2018. I get that it's not cattle decapitation levels of heavy. So what? I've never heard Tobias ever say that Ghost were the heaviest band in the world. This song worked for many reasons, and I wish it ranked higher on this year-end chart. But gotta make room for more butt rock.
After a while, I think mainstream only relies on 20-year-old bands, but then California newcomers Badflower break the top 10 with the song Heroine. This comes off the band's debut album OK I'm Sick, which was mostly critically praised. The band had their first headline tour in the second half of 2019 and will continue through 2020.
Not my favorite song from Badflower, and the lyrics are a bit rough, but it shows a world of potential from a young band, and I'm glad these young guys get so much attention right now. They definitely are a name to watch going forward.
Coming in at number 9 is arguably the most transparent song intended to be used for sports clips and commercials, and Be Legendary. Pop people have strayed further away from their previous hard rock edge and are going for the more commercially available style in recent years. This song comes from the band's self-titled 2018 album, and Be Legendary continues the band's momentum in 2019.
I just want to take a moment to say that I called it. Back when I reviewed this self-titled album in 2018, I said this song would get tons of airplay. It's one of the most repetitive tracks on the entire chart, too. It's not performed poorly, but wow, there is nothing to it. It's as simple as a nursery rhyme and made to be heard behind slam dunk compilation footage on ESPN.
At number 8 is the now multiple-time Grammy-nominated I Prevail and their latest album Trauma's lead single, Breaking Down. I Prevail toured with A Day to Remember in the second half of 2019 and enjoyed a ton of success through this past year. I Prevail are planning to continue through 2020 supporting Trauma.
I Prevail have become no strangers to the charts in a short amount of time, and that song showcases the slower and less angry side of the band. It works okay, but I Prevail can do much better. I think that's why it got so much mainstream attention, though. It's the cleaner sound of I Prevail so that it's approachable. Not bad, but admittedly not their best.
One of the two kings of the Billboard mainstream rock chart comes in at number 7. 3 Days Grace, who have diminished in popularity and quality over the past decade, are still dominating this chart, as they're one of the true examples of radio rock format. Right Left Wrong comes on the band's 2018 album Outsider, and will have a new album coming out in early 2020.
If ever there was a screenshot of the status quo for rock radio, it's Right Left Wrong from 3 Days Grace. No substance, same old material they've been giving for years, regardless of the singer. It just offers nothing.
A summertime song that truly reigned on the rock charts this past summer was Volbeat's Last Day Under the Sun. The song comes in on the band's latest album Rewind, Replay, Rebound, which admittedly is more of the same from Volbeat's, but this song had a refreshing vibe in a genre filled with generic butt rock. Volbeat toured with Slipknot in the US for most of the summer and will be performing through Europe in 2020.
Last Day Under the Sun is simple. It's not exhilarating, and it does sound like it belongs in the back of a car commercial, but I don't dislike it. It's Volbeat, and it's just, they didn't really nail it with this one, but the fact that they charted so high for so long in 2019 speaks volumes as to what mainstream and rock radio are really looking for.
A ballad from Godsmack's When Legends Rise comes in at number 5, and it's a slow and plodding song that did have a good message, and a charity was highlighted in unison of the song. So it's a 20-plus year band with good intentions while promoting a song that many other bands have written and delivered before over the past 30 years or so. Yeah, rock radio, FM, satellite, online radio, they will eat that up.
Sully Ernest sounds sincere, and I'm glad something good came out of this song with the charity it ran with. But yeah, after hearing this song 2 or 3 times, you've had enough. It's not a barn burner at live shows, and it eventually makes everyone reach to change the channel. Regardless, rock radio will never abandon Godsmack. Ever.
Another day, another cover song from Five Finger Death Punch. Another monster-chugging, axe body-spraying, bro-defending the honor of Ivan Moody. This radio version enlisted the help of several music megastars and helped Ivan Moody start his branching out into country territory. Five Finger Death Punch's new album in 2020, for the love of God, don't have any cover songs on it. Please.
They bro-metaled or butt-rocked an old classic. What was once filled with soul is now filled with stale chewing tobacco. And to people who say, how can you hate anything with Brian May? Well, this song proves how it's possible. It sucks. And the reason it charted so high and why radio played it was because of all the names associated with the radio version, not the quality of the song.
At number 3 is the Glorious Sons' S.O.S. Sawed-Off Shotgun from the 2017 album Young Beauties and Fools. While this song was released in 2017, it had that much staying power through 2018 and 2019, and it dominated for a long time, reaching number 1 and staying in the top 10 of the mainstream rock charts for months. It was a good, consistent radio song for those months, even across alternative and free-for-all stations, and for good reason.
S.O.S. definitely got more than its fair share of airplay, but I really enjoyed it. And at the very least, it isn't the post-grunge or nu metal bands from yesteryear. This song feels like a sincere song, and everything comes in clear. It was played everywhere, and I get people got burnt out by it, but I enjoyed it.
In second place is the second single from Attention Attention with Monsters. Shinedown have more number 1 mainstream rock songs than almost anyone, and the song Monsters, while definitely following the rock radio format, felt a bit deeper in tone, and Shinedown made something memorable. The band toured heavily through 2019 and will continue supporting Attention Attention in 2020 while working on new material.
Of all the mainstream rock bands who keep getting played, I feel that Shinedown actually deserves it. They're the band who keeps actively trying to make variations of their own music, and Monsters definitely feels that way. There's a great build and volume that I love, and it's not just chug-along riffs. I'm okay with this one being so high on the ranking for 2019. And as for the number 1 song, well, it was a bit of a surprise for me.
Bad Wolves have now had several number 1 hits after the smash hit cover of Zombie. Remember When comes off of Bad Wolves' 2018 album Disobey, and the band released their sophomore release Nation this year to fairly high praise, as well as toured with Five Finger Death Punch. The band will continue touring with Five Finger in 2020, and will undoubtedly keep the success rolling for them.
I am fine with this song being the number 1 most played rock track on mainstream in 2019. It's a deeply emotional expression of a song to Tommy Veck's brother, and it shows off his vocal chops. It also is a newer band getting this honor, and that's huge for mainstream.
I've heard an argument saying that Bad Wolves aren't reinventing the wheel or anything, but neither are a majority of the bands in mainstream. A lot of it is the same exact radio rock style that has been a big reason why rock hasn't been on top for years. And in 2020, Billboard will become even more of a mess when it starts incorporating YouTube streams and views into its factoring. Meaning that if a song is wretched enough and people play it just for a laugh, that song could get to number 1 on the charts.
The reason I wanted to list off what were the most played and featured songs in mainstream rock in 2019 was to prove that mainstream is only featuring the same styles and sounds. Rarely do they give newer bands a chance, and more often than not, it's the same bands over and over again. Variety and creativity mostly take a backseat to the standard format that radio rock loves. In turn, it's destroying interest in the genre.
Don't get me wrong, when I made my top 10 best albums of 2019, the number 1 album was from an artist that's been around since the 90s, so it's not to say age is the main factor, but radio stations, online stations, even satellite, are all gravitating toward the names who have already been established, regardless of the quality of music. It's my hope that 2020 will see more variety in music and more new bands and artists come forward, but mainstream may not care. They will rely on Papa Roach, Five Finger Death Punch, and 3 Days Grace to keep up the status quo.
Rock isn't dead. There was amazing music that came out of rock, metal, alternative, everything in between last year. But rock is definitely suffering. This leads to my next big question I'll make in another video. What does rock need to get back on top? I'll pose that question to you also. Leave a comment below if you think you know what rock needs to finally get back on top and above other genres. Until then, please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and stay tuned, because next time we'll have to assess what this mess really is, and look back at the last decade and see why rock really was in the doldrums.
Big thanks to all my patrons and a special thanks to Brandon Barenfeld. You can help support Rock and get perks like voting on upcoming videos to make and seeing videos early through Patreon. As little as $2 a month goes a long way for the channel. Find out more info in the YouTube card and video description below. Please subscribe to get notified on upcoming videos. You can check out my concert photography on Instagram, and you can keep up to date with Rock on Facebook and Twitter.